Welcome to video number 2 in our revenue roadmap. In the first video, we talked about how to build that vision from going from point A to point B, which is your vision statement. In this one, in the 3 stages to success, we're going to teach you the quickest and easiest way to take that dream and start organizing it into logical segments. This is a proven and easy way to quickly organize your dream into larger, manageable, logical segments. Why? So that you never feel lost or in a fog on how to organize your dream again, my friends. This is the second step in our revenue roadmap, which is the simplest and most effective system for anyone serious about building a logical framework in order to bring their dream to life. So let's ask the question, why does it matter? Why is it so important for us to slow down and focus on creating these 3 stages of success before we do anything else? Imagine your journey is like a staircase. Point A is the bottom, and you want to get up the stairs to point B, right? Well, something holds the steps firmly in place, right? This is called the wall string. This is the reason you never think of the steps falling. These 3 stages are your magical wall string that keep your steps firmly in place. You can forget being unsure of yourself. Worrying, that's not going to even bother you anymore. You've got something strong to support you. That is your wall string. That's what these 3 stages are, and this is what it's like when you define your 3 stages of success. So why don't most people take the time to create these 3 manageable, logical segments for their dream? One reason, people are just impatient and they want to do. They think just doing will get them where they want to go. They don't want to slow down to think through building these safety mechanisms for their dream. Others just don't have that big picture in their mind's eye. They only work and see what's in front of them. So they literally cannot build these steps in the same way when you look at the big picture. And for others, honestly, they just don't know how because no one has ever taught them. Despite that, my friends, this is how we do it. Now I'm going to show you how we just leave behind that impatience, that short-sightedness, the frustrations of not knowing how to organize yourself properly. This is how you clearly define what your future success looks like. There are structurally 3 stages to our success. So there's 3 steps that we need to take. We have to think about building a foundation. That's the first stage. Number 2, we have to think about creating a system that's working. That's the second stage. And number 3, we have to think about growing the system. That's the third stage. And we're going to go over all 3 of these things in detail. Let's start with number 1, thinking how to build the foundation of our dream. Believe it or not, like everything else, there are obstacles that we run into trying to focus on thinking about how to build a foundation to make it work right. Some people or some agents are too influenced by the rush of the rat race and they can't slow down enough to do it. Others, they don't think it will affect their overall outcome, so they just really don't take the time to do it. And others, they just want to avoid it. Why? Because it's no fun. It's not why they went into business. So there are obstacles that can get in our way. But this, my friends, is how you create and focus on a foundation, even though the rush of the rat race is pushing you faster than you want. There's 3 simple steps or 3 simple actions that we take. First of all, we think. This is the first of 3. We're at point A, so we have nothing. So that's where we have to start in our mind's eye. Number 2, It's the beginning. It's the foundation. We're building that platform, that level one, because remember, we have nothing. And number three, now we answer the question, what do I want to accomplish in this first stage? And then what I do is I write them down. I'm going to use the personal example of building a personal growth platform where I teach people how to grow as individuals. And remember, stage A is the foundation, right? So as I think through this, and remember, I'm going from point A to point B. Point A is nothing. I have nothing. It's the foundation. So what's the first thing I want to do when I'm teaching somebody about personal growth? Well, the goal of stage A is to understand how you operate as an individual and how you become who you are right now. That's the foundation. Once you understand that, then we're going to build upon that. But that is the foundation. Now let's move on to stage two. We've built the foundation. We know what we're going to accomplish in the first stage. The second stage, we're going to think about creating the system. I know who I am. Now we're going to think about creating how to start growing, right? But this is not as easy as it sounds. There's obstacles that we run into in our everyday lives. Some people fear failure, so they just stay with the passive status quo and really don't jump into the personal growth of becoming something. Others are always looking for instant gratification and they get bored quickly, so they don't focus on setting these stages of growth like they need to. Others, they lack confidence and question their own actions and can't even make their own decisions because they don't believe in themselves. So there are some obstacles that people run into with this. Despite that, this is how you create a system, even though you may struggle with confidence in putting it all together. 3 simple actions we need to take after we've built the foundation. Now we have a system in place that's going to keep going. We've begun. Think of middle, okay? What keeps this going? What keeps you going? What keeps you growing? That's the way I was thinking of this. Secondly, describe your game plan. This is the process or the routine we're going to use to grow. Okay, then answer the question. What do I want to accomplish in this second stage? So now I'm going to define what success looks like in this second stage. So we're building now. Stage A, remember, is the foundation. And I called it This Is You. The goal of stage A is to understand how you operate as an individual and how you've become who you are now. That's the foundation. Now we're going to build upon that and create the process of moving, of growing. I call that the path to greatness. The goal of stage B is to get really good at recognizing, listening to, and acting upon the guidance your inner self gives you. That's the actions that we'll be taking to learn how to grow. So we've built the foundation in stage one. In stage two, we created the system that we're going to start using. In stage three, how do we maintain and continue to grow? So we're going to think about growing the system. But even in growing a system, there are obstacles we run into. Growth itself is painful. And it is not natural. So that pain of the challenge of growth itself can set us off course. That's number one. Number two, some people enjoy just the status quo, and to go outside that, they don't want to do it. So often they don't. So they just maintain where they are. And number three, some people have that lack of vision to go just beyond the presence of where they're going. So they really have no vision of where they want to go, of how to make something grow into the future. Despite the obstacles, this is how you focus on growth, even though it might be an uncomfortable journey. So here are the 3 actions we take. We thought of the beginning, we thought of the middle, now we're thinking of the end, finally, taking us to point B. It's going to keep us going, it's going to keep us growing, because that's what inevitably the point B is moving to, or that's what point B is. Okay, secondly, it's working. Now we want to focus on maintaining, growing, scaling, executing what we're doing. So this is the type of thing we want to think about as we're thinking about how we want to design the purpose of stage 3. So we ask the question, what do I want to accomplish in the 3rd stage? And we write it down like we do the other stages. So let's start in the 1st stage. Again, stage A, that is the foundation, right? And I called it This Is You. The goal of stage A is to understand how you operate as an individual and how you become who you are right now. It's more of an understanding, right? Okay. Stage B, or stage number 2, the path to greatness. Here's where we build the system. The goal of stage B is to get really good at recognizing and listening to and acting upon the guidance that inner you gives you. So we have the system going on what we need to do. Stage 3, or stage C, is taking us to point B. And this is where we have a system in place. Now we want to maintain it and grow it so that we can grow into who we want to be, which is our vision statement, right? Point B. The goal of stage C is to learn how to bring inner self on board, or inner you, and practice daily reminders to prevent distractions in the rush of that rat race. So these are the 3 stages that we will build. I hope that was helpful, because here are your 3 stages to success homework. You've already created your vision statement. What does it look like from being at point A going to point B? We've defined what point B looks like. Now we're building the 3 stages to get there. Number 1, think of building that foundation. The first third describes how we start. We're at point A and we want to get things going. It's like the foundation. After we build the foundation, number 2, we think about creating a system. The foundation is built, and now we're getting things done. This is where we describe the process of how things are going to work. And number 3, we think about growing the system. Our last third takes us to our destination, or point B. We are living in the system now, and it's working for us, and we're focused on maintaining and growing it as we need to. My friends, looking at the bigger picture, this is step number 2. Step number 1, we talked about going from point A to point B, and first describing that vision statement and building it and what it is. Step number 2, we built 3 systems in place to build all of our steps on. This is the 2nd step in our revenue roadmap. Remember, this revenue roadmap is literally the simplest and most effective system for anyone that's interested in building a logical framework to bring their dream to life. If you're serious about building a revenue roadmap, you've got to clearly organize your support stages. This is where success begins, my friends. It all starts with 3 stages to success. Otherwise, you're going to be caught in the status quo. You're going to be weighed down by self-doubt because you're not going to know if you could really get there. You're going to be paralyzed by the influence of rogue fear, and you're going to hide in your safe little mediocre world. And I know that's not what you want. So let's build these 3 stages.